Hey, welcome back to Liberty Call. This is Juan, your host, and today we have Joel Rodriguez, also known as Rod. So Rod retired 2 years ago from tomorrow, and he retired out of the USS Abraham Lincoln. He was the CMC there, but Rod and I we worked together back at a comic back in the days when I was a lieutenant and he was a senior chief. That was a long time ago, Rod.
That's
Well,
right.
hey, welcome, Rod. Appreciate you making time and coming over here. Thank you, man.
Hey, Juan, appreciate it. The world is crazy, but when somebody reaches out, it's always a yes, man. Friends
I
are
appreciate that.
and connections. That's what the Navy brings us, and whatever I can do to spread the word and help you out, I'm in always.
Well, thank you, man. If you don't mind, or for the listeners that don't know you, there'll be some people that know you here too. But for the listeners that don't know you, can you give us a little summary on what your military experience was? And yeah, let's start with that.
Sure. So I came in January '93 in Northern California, just a kid, regular kid, not knowing what to do. Joined the military as a AZAR. Didn't know what AZ land was about, but left Northern California to go to boot camp and then got stationed at Miramar. And
Mm.
F-14s had two F-14 commands right away. And it's funny, the way I got to Miramar was that I had a retread in front of me at A school, and he said, "Hey, Rod, go." He's turning around, go pick Dad's orders. They got women at that command, uh, and not knowing any different, shipped to Miramar and loved every minute of that. But two commands there at F-14s and the AZ. If people don't know, it's Aviation Administration, log books, and I was at the RAG, and it was a huge responsibility there. Went from there, became an I-level tech on USS Boxer, and the Boxer was a brand new ship at the time. I went to C school in Millington, and
Hmm.
kind of advanced to E6 there on the ship.
Man, on
5 years
Millington,
of
me too. That was a long time ago, man. I know it moved
yeah.
to Pensacola in the late '90s, I think.
That's right. Yeah, but I went walked around that place, marched around it, and got my NEC there as an E5, and um, 5 years of ship's company and three deployments and a lot of busy work. But loved every minute of that and learned a lot on that ship. Went from there, went to the schoolhouse, so a trade group pack, which we don't have no more, but just a
Yeah.
regular schoolhouse. We were combined with SEER. Made chief there in 2002, a long time ago, early in my career, and then went from there, went to Nimitz. Nimitz filled with different challenges, but had a lot of great people there on Nimitz. I ran the desk, learned a lot about maintenance, and then went from there, went to HSC Wingpack, where I met you
Yeah.
and a bunch of stellar people that I still talk to today. Obviously, connections are huge, but went to the wing, learned a lot about helos, and of course, we went from legacy aircraft into Sierras and kind of did that transition and loved all that. And then from there, went to AirPac as an inspector and picked up 9 in 2013, and not knowing what to do. And right around that time, I was being recognized kind of at the wing at the back end, sitting in for CMC, and just saying, "Hey, you have these abilities, unique to talk to people. You have the right character mannerisms. What about
Yeah.
the command program?" And a lot of good people pushing. Started writing, changed my evals and thinking about it, and said, "Yes, let's drop a package." So all around that time where I made 9, I got picked up in the command senior chief program, but never was a command senior chief because I picked up 9 right away. And I became the SEL there at AirPac, and then transferred to my first actual command, which was a DDG 76, USS Higgins, and fish out of water, straight stick surface command, BMD destroyer, and I
And
still
you were
talk to all
CMC
those.
there
I was CMC there. Yeah, so first job as a
from
CMC.
aviation to destroyer.
That's right. That's right. And loved every minute of that. And talked to those group of guys still today, all my COs. I went from there, went to FRC Southwest
Okay.
at
Yeah.
North Island, and had some challenges there at the beginning. Um, and then took over, Tony Harmio and everybody that I knew kind of in the pocket. And then from
Tony
there went to
Harmillo, what a great guy, man, to work for. That
yeah.
guy
So
was I learned so much from him.
he was my MMCO, me and Tony back on Nimitz. So it was,
Wow. That was a long time ago.
oh yeah, long ago. So our connections, I'll talk to Tony all the time. But anyway, I went from there to ComFRC, the 1-star flag job, and Admiral Zerkowski picked me for that job. Went through some challenges there as well. I don't know, maybe we'll get into them, but my commander was relieved after Zark, and the first time an admiral had been relieved in like 10 years. So,
Wow.
and dealing through that. And then from there, like we discussed a little bit earlier, I know before the podcast, but
Mhm.
looking for a job and applied for the 3-star job at Navigator and didn't get that job, and that sent me looking for a job, and went back down to the carrier and got the job with Amy Ballerschmidt was my captain, the first female CO of carrier, and brought
Hmm.
its own challenges as well. And loved every minute of that job, and retired off there with 31 years and some change as a CMC of the carrier, and then moved to Georgia. So all my time mostly in San Diego. If you notice, most of those commands, my small time in Pax River,
Yeah.
and then moved to Georgia, where my wife's from, and been retired 2 years tomorrow.
Oh
So that's
man,
me.
wow, man, that's a long career. Was that 32, 33 years?
31 and some change. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's
Just
it's crazy stuff. It's time to go. Yeah, for sure. I can feel it, and I'm there too. But
that's
Rod,
right.
offline, we were talking about when you were retiring and your transition from active duty to retirement, and the challenges that you had during that transition as the CMC of the Abraham Lincoln. Can you talk a little bit about that? What are those challenges? Well, first of all, let me start with this. Would you recommend anyone to retire on carrier?
No, I would not. If I could, plan it out properly, I probably would have shifted to a shore duty if I knew I was going to retire. But faith and timing was perfect to exit. I felt things that were pulling me otherwise, and so retiring. Let's get to the thick of it here. Retiring on the carrier is not suggested. Retiring on sea duty, you need time, one, to get your things in order, whether that's your household, whether that's finances, whether that's mental preparation, the classes that they give,
Mhm.
and then ultimately your VA and everything that you'll have to do as you transition.
Did they offer that to you while you were on board?
They did.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So I was able to receive TAP class and leaders class for off ramp. So all these things that I was offered, I was able to go and in a condensed time frame. So even though the ship's pace in and out, the
Yeah.
captain really supported me in my transition and said, "Hey, CMC, you're okay to go. I understand. We will all get there." Was kind of, "Yes, sir, that's correct. We will get there." And Pete Reeby had replaced Captain Bowerschmidt, so he
Mhm.
was really on board with letting me go. And then, but the pace. So as you get closer to your transition day, whatever, if you're going to take leave or whatever you're going to do, you have certain appointments you have to meet, and some
Yeah.
of these things in the VA you cannot miss. And I was
Yes.
really worried about missing these things and not making a BDD, in these timeframes
Mhm.
that you might hear as horror stories with the problems at the VA. And I would say, I'll say this, that the VA in San Diego was a great help, and that
Nice.
everything that was done in my transition through the VSO and everything was seamless, flawless. And I understand I have
Nice.
privilege as a triad member, but there was a lot of support there given to me. But yeah, the pace, the things that you're going to have to plan for and still keeping your job 100% is not suggested on anyone. If you can do that on shore duty, if you're on sea duty, just get ahead of it as much as possible, because
Yeah.
there's things that you are not going to learn in these classes. These are things that you're not going to foresee them coming, but you're going to have to go to them. You're going to have time to make these appointments. You're going to have time to have planning and where you're going. So not suggested to do on sea duty. Please do it on shore duty if you're at that time. But if you can't, hey, there's other people. This story right here might help you. And I'm sure we'll get into some of the technical stuff, but uh, plan for it. You need a lot of lead time. And if you could do, I was not fortunate to do an off-ramp program, but if that's available to you now and officers and enlisted get this opportunity, maybe take that avenue, and that will give you enough time, lead time from your sea duty command to being able to get some of this stuff done.
What do you mean by an off-ram program?
So yeah, so the Navy allows you to go and do a job essentially where you're transitioning out the Navy, but you're going to go to a job of your choice, maybe in a hometown
Oh,
of your
Skillbridge.
Skillbridge. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Sorry, I did forgot to mention the names of these things, but Skillbridge
It's
program
been a
or
while already. You forgot.
yeah. But these things were just now coming out, and I tell you, I wasn't a fan as a CMC on sea duty, because you
You got
have
to
to
let
let
go of
people
people.
go, which is we're already short manned or whatever. But I think it's built for people like you and I, senior people, not necessarily. I understand that there's a need there for maybe the first tour person that needs to get to somewhere. But I think the intent in my mind was built for more senior people. What do you do now as you're kind of institutionalized, and what do you want to do
Yeah.
in your afterlife? But I just felt that it wasn't for me at the time, and being on the biggest, baddest ship in the land, I wanted to give 100% to the command. So that's just my path. Doesn't have to be yours. If it's offered to you,
Yeah.
I would explore that. And there's different months that you could do and everything, and that will give you the time to get to the location maybe where you want to be and have enough time to do what you have to
Yeah.
do to prepare for retirement.
That's great advice, man. A lot of people apply for these things nowadays, and there are times that as an OIC, also you as a CMC, that you get these requests, and instead of saying, "Hey, you guys," sometimes you got to tell the sailor, right, you're one of one, right, and your relief is not coming for another 3 months. I can, instead of letting you go for 6 months, I'm okay to letting you go for three,
Yeah,
and you have to be able to explain that to them. But I'll tell you what, even after explaining the reasons why we didn't support it 100%. Uh, Sailors I talked to, they understood. If it's
yeah,
explained to them in a rational kind of way, none of them give me a hard time or anything. They're like, no, yeah, I understand it. It makes sense. Thanks for the supporting the 3 months, and they're
yeah.
happy to take that time.
Yeah, so I had gotten to so again, this stuff was just coming online late in my career, but at
Yeah.
ComFRC at the flag there, I had people already on these programs, and they were gone for a year. I mean, we
Oh,
had let them go a year ahead, and
it's
so now
changed a
that
lot.
yeah, that billet was gapped. I'm like, how can this
Yeah.
guy be is calling the command
Mm,
looking for information or stuff that we had to do for them because they're still kind of attached to us,
yeah.
but yet somebody said yes to let them go. And then I went on the ship again, so hard, so challenging, saying no
Yeah.
to, of course, senior people are, my peers want this thing. And why are you giving it to, seamen or airmen to me when I need this more than them? But you said yes to
Mhm.
them. Well, so we got 10 of them, but I got one of you, similar to what you were
Yeah.
saying. And I'm eating the gap sandwich here to say yes to you for multiple months. So let's work together. And again, like you said, bringing them in and saying, hey, maybe we
Mhm.
can not do a year or 9 months. Maybe we can only do, like 90 days or 6 months. Is that okay with the company that you want to go do this with? If they say yes, we'll say yes. Or maybe you forego, somewhere work the terminal leave in it's a 50-50 split. So there was many things that we were in discussion as the triad to make it work for the ship as our manning levels fluctuate as we're in the cycle for the ship. We have to protect the best interest of the command and making
Absolutely.
sure that we're doing right. And that doesn't always fit to everybody's scenario. And I know there's a lot of people probably on your podcast that don't agree or not in those decisions, but those are the decisions. That's why
It's okay.
leadership is there. Yeah, and we have to make sometimes a hard decision. What's best for the command, not always best for each sailor, but it doesn't mean we're not working with you, and it doesn't mean you weren't discussed. And I think that's imperative that they know that and ask those questions, and we should tell them. We should sit them
Yeah.
down and say, "Here's why we decided no," or "Here's what we're willing to do," because it's not standard for everybody, and everybody's decision is different.
Yeah, yeah, a good point. And I don't know if it was like that when you were CMC, but I know we do have the option to just say no. The
Yeah,
command has the option to say no, zero, you're not getting it at all. But I don't know if I'm a softie or what, but I would like to accommodate the sailor's request as much as possible without sacrificing the mission of the unit.
sure.
So if I'm able to, if I can support it 100%, great, I would do that. But if I can't, hey, and you know what? I don't know if this happens to you, but um, it's not easy. It's not easy telling a sailor no. Personally,
Yeah,
personally, I don't know. Feel a sense of guilt. I don't know. It just feels wrong to me. But I know I'm doing the. I know I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing my job. But it
that's
just I feel a little guilty. I don't know if that happened to you.
yeah. Well, I think the always in leadership, the best thing is how can we get to yes? How can I get to a yes? Is your first inkling. Again, what I have a job to do, and they don't always understand that, and it's not just as easy as saying yes to everything. There's some work has to be done on both ends,
Yeah,
but yeah, saying no to any sailor is a hard fact, but that's why we're in that position. And I advise
yeah,
the commanding officer, and that's my job, and sometimes we agree and sometimes we disagree, but um, those things are are always discussed. And those, the magnitude at your position, you have at your command, maybe 200 sailors or 300 sailors. That's one division or department on the carrier. I got
Yeah.
a department with
Thousands.
700 sailors. Yeah, thousands of sailors. So it's like you have to switch gears from, admin that has 20 sailors in it to air department that has 700 sailors in it,
Yeah.
right? So it's like a reactor that has 400 sailors, and all these things that we're talking about is the script is different. It's not one fits all. And
Yeah.
the sailors coming through my door, you know, CMC, I got to talk to you. What's when you're holding the chit, like, hey, what's going on? Where's your chief? It's like let's sit down and have a conversation. My door is always open to talk to anybody that came through. But yeah, saying no is difficult, but it's part of the job. It's part of the business.
Yeah. In
But
in the same
then we get to
lines,
yes.
how we get to yes, yeah, yeah. In the same line of kind of, what are some of the leadership lessons that really took you the longest to learn? Because
Mm,
I think you'll agree that we don't come in the Navy being great leaders. Even natural leaders, right? They still have
yep.
to sharpen their skills, right? You still make mistakes and you learn from those. So, what was the hardest lesson for you to learn?
So as a young So I grasped it really early. I was a good observer of leadership, and I was like a sponge, you could say. And I really would take one from you and take one from them and take one from her and one from him. And I would build my leadership style because you're right, we come in and we don't know, right? I don't know from Sam. I wasn't a
Yeah.
leader and I was very young. I came in 17 and straight out of high school, right? Those skill sets, and you got to sharpen those skill sets. As I got more senior as a chief, and things were given to me to lead, and you start testing your ability. And I always say you have to test yourself. You can't learn to swim from the shore, and you have to get in the water and swim. So you can't test your leadership ability from not being in leadership situations. Fail early and often, right?
Yeah.
I tell my sailors, I tell the chiefs mess, and I'll tell anybody in business or whatever, you're going to make mistakes along the way, but that's going to make you
Yeah.
better because mistakes count more when you're senior than they do when you're not the man in charge. So those mistakes, yes, they still hurt and they impact people, but it's not as big as making these big decisions we make later. But I had, I was running the desk as a senior chief in on Nimitz and running production control, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
We were captain master chief, and I was sitting in that seat. And the biggest lesson that I learned was not everybody is me. And I had to eat that pill because I could do it faster than you, and I wanted it done, or I wanted it my way. But you have your own way. We're both going to get to the point of completion, but
Yeah.
it just might not be the way I want it at the speed I want it. But we still made the timeline. They still made it. I tasked it to you. Let them run with it. Let
Mm.
them get to the come back a little stick and rudder, and I will get you there. Those are lessons that you will not learn right away, but you are not me. And that was a pill I ate for a long time. When I figured that out, that says it's okay to let them go and make mistakes. That's the way they're going to learn. And instead of me, over their back or follow up and consistently pumping them like you're doing this wrong, blah blah blah. Let them run. Your way is not my way, but you can still get it to the proper end state. So
It
a
empowers
leadership
them.
lesson.
It
That's
empowers
right.
them to make decisions on their own. Because
Yeah,
that you don't want people to be coming to you every 5 seconds. Can we do this? Can we do this? Can we do this? There are some decisions that you can make at your own level.
that's right.
But that's
And
empowerment. That's what's needed. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, so that was one of the biggest things I learned, and learning that little tidbit helped me later. I had a lot of soak time as a senior chief. I thought I was going to make 9 right away, and it didn't, and that kind of sent me in a tailspin. But it took me 7 years to make 9, and that soak time made me a way better leader than if I would have made it so fast, being a master chief and maybe not gone into the program. But sometimes things happen for a reason,
Yeah.
and you take a step back and you start looking around you, and maybe the shape of what your vision is not clear, and it could be better, and you have to work on those skills. So that was one of them. I started reading books as well later, so I wasn't a fan of the senior leadership SEL Academy. Yeah, it was a thing that was optional, and I wanted to be a maintenance guy. That's all I wanted to be, was 8300 maintenance master chief,
Yeah.
and if you weren't the maintenance master chief, you were on this side, you were over here.
That's
And
like a
that's
pinnacle
just,
for enlisted aviation right there.
yeah, and here I was able to do this, whether you were an I level or
Yeah.
an O level, it didn't matter. But that was the guy or gal that I seen, and that's who I wanted to be. And so coming up, that's what I wanted to do. And with that came a lot of lessons learned as these jobs were coming to me. But then I went to SEA as a senior chief because the Navy started lending leadership to say, hey, there's this great course over here that's going to teach you some other skill sets that
Hmm.
you're not gonna learn at the desk, and you're not gonna learn at whatever rate you are. You got to come over here. And I finally went and learned a ton. The lessons that I learned there, one was um, to read books about leadership. We had to read a book to get there, and you had to I could already do papers, and I was, of course, I could type. I was an admin guy. There was a lot of things that I already had. I could speak in a crowd. I'm never scared to speak in a crowd. I can make my way through. But reading books was something that I hadn't used as a skill set, and doing that really focus on the light bulbs going off of these things there's books out there that can help you hone your leadership or get in discussions that you're not in right now and help you eloquently move through conversations at a higher level that you're not seeing. So that's another tidbit that I would give to any young leader out there. Start your skill set earlier than waiting till you think you're just making it on ability.
Yeah.
You need to put yourself in situations, and two, you got to work on that skill set through reading, through accountability. There's a lot of different things that you could do to become a better leader.
Yeah.
But the
Learn,
biggest
learn
thing,
from other people's mistakes. Yeah. So,
that's
and a
right.
lot of these books have that, there are folks
That's
that,
right.
open up to everyone and tell them, hey, these are the mistakes I made and this is the lessons I learned. So it's okay to learn from mistakes, right? We do it all the time, but it's even
Yeah.
better to learn from others' mistakes.
Yeah, yeah, and that's you talk about that one. It's about and that's why mentorship is so key.
Yeah.
Uh, I had a lot of, and we didn't call it mentorship program. You call it whatever. When I was early '90s, and then I
Hmm.
always thought, why me? Why are these people
Back in the 90s, we
allowing
call
me?
him Sea Daddy.
Yeah, it was just like, hey, they put me under their
Under the
wing.
wing.
And they told me, this is what you got to do, Rod. If you want to advance, this is what you got to do. If you want to be the maintenance desk chief, this is what you got to do. And I'm a
Yeah.
second class, right? But I
Hmm.
was receptive to what they were saying. For one, I wasn't against what they were saying, F you, or that's not for me. It's going to take time. So are you willing to
Yeah.
give me the time to learn this? Because you still have your
Yeah.
job to do. I need you to do that, but I'm going to teach you these things. So mentorship was so key, and somebody talking to me and whispering in my ear whatever you wanted to say. And when I know we went into formal mentorship programs, but later, you need mentors continually as you move up. And somebody that
Yeah.
has already made those mistakes, you don't have to go down the same road. Learn
Yeah.
from, don't take this path, take this path. Don't do that. That's not going to help you. Do this. Hey, let me look
Yeah.
at what you're submitting. And so I always would say, why me? Why do they want to talk to me? I think it's a lot is demeanor, your open attitude,
Yeah.
back and forth, your military bearing. Yes, sir. Yes, chief.
Hmm.
I'm not friction to this person or whatever that just hit me up. And maybe they tested 4 people or 5 people, and
Hmm.
they got to me, and I was the one that said, yeah, let's do it. I'll stay till 1600 today or 1700 today and learn.
Yeah.
Chief's here, or I'll stick with night check. I'll learn on the desk at night, and I was always just continually doing that. But mentorship is so key, and you lose mentors and you gain mentors along the way. People come into your life for a certain reason. I'm a big believer of that. And sometimes you have to listen, listen with your ears and your eyes and keep your mouth shut and just kind of soak in.
Yeah.
And maybe some of that stuff won't resonate in the moment, but it'll resonate later as you go, man, that's what they were talking about. That's what they meant. And then you should follow back up with them, and
Yeah.
maybe they have another lesson number two. Tell me again, tell me more, and being hungry. And mentorship is so key. And we call it coaching or whatever is real big in the CMC world. It's
Hmm.
it's a total different ball game, and I'm still connected to a lot. I connect to the two CMCs here. I have NTAG and the NRC here in Atlanta. I'm like, look, I'm available to you to help you. These are young
Yeah.
guys in the seat.
That's
How can I
great,
help?
man.
I've been through a lot of things. Yeah, but I had those people. CMC world has a lot of things that I would say probably if I was just a maintenance master chief, might not. Now, maintenance master chiefs have it probably in their type model series, like, hey, we're
Hmm.
both on fighters or helos or whatever. We know some stuff.
Yeah.
Let's discuss. But these are higher level discussions about people and things and past and stuff. And who do you call when you pick up a phone and you have a life decision to make? These aren't maintenance decisions. These are bigger command decisions. And having mentorship in those things that you can just simply get opinions and then
Yeah.
formulate your own opinion is just so key. So don't be scared of it. And even in the business world, I see that now, the connections, mentors that are out there floating around, you have to step into those rooms and kind of see and people that are already 2 steps ahead of you, 2 years, if that's the path that you want to go, you probably want
Yeah.
to get information from them if that's, where you want to be. Some people, you go into entrepreneurship or whatever, and they've done a lot of these headaches. Like, look, man, I'm going to tell you steps 1, 2, 3. Don't be like me and a fish out of water flopping around. Yeah, it's not going to work for you. And you'll come back in a year. You're like, you know what, Ron? Yeah,
You're
yeah,
right.
you were right. Oh man, I should have listened to you. So mentorship is key, but people don't want to open up. I kind of figured this out later. Not everybody likes to tell their story, and
Yeah,
or
that's true.
they're not humble enough, right, to say I got a problem or this is my issue, to get help for it, right? Maybe
Hmm.
those are things that not everybody has to overcome, but and we talk about open kimono or whatever you want to
Yeah.
say, be open to discussion and asking for help. And that could be a personal thing, that could be a leadership thing, but there's somebody
Hmm.
out there that has been through it before you, or somebody out there that can give you that little piece of advice that you were missing, that's going to help you. And that mentorship is key. And then having those people go forward, and people, you have to get in these circles too.
Yeah.
If they don't know, if the room doesn't know you, it's very hard to come to you with that information. If the room kind of knows you and knows your character, they're going to be more willing to open and talk to you. But you have to be willing to open up to them and say and introduce yourself. I'm Rod.
Yeah.
This is where I'm going. This is what I'm doing. And personality, I believe, has a lot to do with that. Um,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Characteristics, yeah. How
Oh,
you
yeah.
approach, how you look, how and people don't. Oh, I shouldn't have to be that way. I'm not saying you have to dress a certain way. I'm just saying,
Hmm.
how do you approach? And are you smiling? Are you grumpy or whatever?
Yeah.
We have those people, but can I shake your hand and look at me in the eyes and say, this is, hey, I'm Rod. This is what I'm dealing with. And I've never met you before, but man, I can help you. I know exactly what you're talking about. Come on, come on. You
Hmm.
got 5 minutes, or let's get a coffee tomorrow, or whatever. Let's have this discussion. And that's how it works now, kind of in
Yeah.
what do you want to do in the afterlife?
Yeah. Yeah. For
So,
sure, man. And as CMC too, man. Man, you guys, CMCs, you guys got a lot of responsibility, especially on a carrier. We were just talking about you got thousands of sailors, man. Is there a responsibility that weighted the heaviest on you while you were CMC on the carrier? Is there something out there?
well, I think the responsibility of, so I'm the first stop for discipline.
Mm,
So, um, every person that gets charged or is going to go through a DRB, disciplinary review board, comes through my desk, right? And so I see a vast amount of things, but our recommendation, and it's not just me, I had 20 other nines with me. We got to that point. I think I started with 17, and so I have a room of people that are supporting me. The again, life decisions that come through my door that I see that are big, and we have disciplinary sheets, like sheets of people, hundreds
yeah.
on these waiting lists, like consistently. And those are just the challenges. How are we fair and equitable across the board with the captain's decisions? How do we talk to me and the XO on the same page as they go up? How do I see it?
Yeah.
And being able to really cipher through the BS and get to the point of the problem, the UCMJ. So that was the biggest, the magnitude of that. FRC, come FRC, the ship, even the DDG, maybe one every other week. So we're having a mess
That was
with
manageable.
every week, and it's just this high pace. What I'll tell you, as a any department head on a carrier, any CMC that's done that job, any XO obviously, and captain, you just move from one thing. So that's I my chakra block of stuff through the day, right? So Lego blocks that are stacked through my meeting planner. And I have a secretary, very fortunate to have my own secretary out there, right, that's driving my
Yeah.
schedule and manipulating. See, this is what we got today, and this is what we're doing. And
Yeah.
but you, one moment you're in a meeting and planning session, the next minute you're in this disciplinary thing, and next minute I'm at mass for
Yeah.
doing this, and from there then we're moving to ship planning, and we're just, as a leader, you're moving around and you have to be ready, focused on the next thing. But I don't get time to prepare. You only get 1 minute in between the next meeting, and it's on to the next, and we're
Yeah.
talking about something total different. Or I'm going down, hey, we have a ceremony on the flight deck, praising a sailor or whatever. You're giving an award to them, and do you know about them? And I'm shifting these gears,
Yeah.
and that's just every day, right? And the highs
Mhm.
and lows and then you get that knock on the door, and sailors there, I want to hurt myself today, or I got a problem with my chief, or I got a problem with my department head, and
Mhm.
how can I help? And in my mind, I want to get that sailor in and talk to them. And I won't just say it's just enlisted guy, lieutenants, department heads,
Mhm.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
CMC door is totally different. I'm on the main P-way coming through. They just want somebody to talk to, but I have to talk to them, know ins and outs. I always talk about loyalty to CMCs. I'm loyal to the command. I'm loyal to the Navy. My decisions are based on, I know what's right and what's wrong. So I'm not going to give you a BS answer, but I'm going to give you
Yeah.
the right answer, what I think should happen and what will happen. But there's this tick tock. Okay, I'm on to my next meeting. I can't show up late. The captain's going to be, blowing me up on the brick. How can I maneuver through this, which the sailor or the person in front of me doesn't always know? I'm looking at the clock behind him, and I'm running through. Okay, let's get to the point in a way, in a demeanor that is, equitable to them, what they wanted, and they got time with me, and I'm going to give them that time. And if I have to sit there and pass them on to somebody or go past, sure, there's ones or two of those, but it's just those touch points is moving through. But the most challenging thing was making life decisions for sailors that could impact them as they go forward. And
Yeah.
and the magnitude, you're not ready for the amount of that, and the things you see that come through your desk. But there are many challenging things on that job. That was one of the ones that, because you just see so much, from
Yeah.
minor stuff to major things to, harassment, sexual harassment, to
Yeah.
personal stuff out in town, stealing, big stuff, drugs, and
Mhm.
hurting people and all kinds of things. I mean, it's like this wide swath, and you're making these decisions quick. Of course, we have a JAG, and we have a lot of people getting, as time goes on, you get better at it because you've seen this before, just
Yeah.
like any job, and you're able to shift. Yeah, as leader, CMC has the magnitude. And it's not just me, it's definitely Captain XO. And I say any
Yeah.
department head or departmental SEL is moving through their day, not as jock as the triads. They have their own position. Being able to, like I said, do one thing in the morning, and at 10 o'clock it's a different thing. At 11
Yeah.
it's a different thing, and 12,
You got
and
compartmentalize your entire day.
yeah, and it's just gone. And then
Yeah.
you get back, and it's paperwork time. Hey, everybody, the ship's knocked off, and it's I got, you might have, I don't want to say you, but regular command has
Yeah.
5 chits to do. I got 105 chits to do
Yeah.
today before I go home that have to move through a 3-day process, and I can't just whip it through. I got to sit there. I got pictures on my desk. I used to take pictures and send to my wife. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna be late for dinner. I got these stacks of chits, and
Oh,
it's just, and you're moving through it, and then you know, same thing. Every day was a late day, and we've always wrapped up with the captain, me and the XO, hey, let's go up. And that's at like 6 p.m. It's a late day every day. What happened today? What's on tomorrow? Always projecting, man, always planning. And it was just a big eye opener, but I commend anybody that wants to do the job. And I don't care if they're not successful. They ate that for a while, and I know they learned a lot, man. Those are good people to say, hey, what did you learn? What can you tell me? Because I know they're good. They did good by
yeah.
just saying, I want to do this.
Yeah, definitely. Rod, I think they got the right CMC man over there because you got the right personality. I remember working with you. Your demeanor, the way you talk to people, like, yeah, yeah, like you are right there. Even at Kamichi went back, you had the CMC demeanor and everything. It was so, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I think it was really obvious that the sailors over there loved you and Lincoln, because I was telling you earlier that I saw the Facebook pictures and the video that they made when you were departing the ship for your last
Yeah.
time, and everyone lined up there. You can tell those folks they loved you, man. That's good stuff.
Man. You know what a day. I was all the way in Bay 1, like going,
Hmm. I didn't
I
see
was
that
like,
part. So you
man,
were from Bay 1 all the way down to Bay 3?
yeah, I was at the AMD tunnel
Well,
to come through. Yeah. I mean, it was just an experience. All I wanted to do was just know that I wanted every sailor to know who I was and that I represented them. And I was fortunate to be able to walk around the ship and talk to everybody, whether they were in reactor engineering, flight deck,
man.
a cook, we're all one big team, but I wanted them to just know who I was more than just a picture on their wall in their office,
Mm-hmm.
and know if they had a problem, I could talk to them and I was approachable. And I was very fortunate to walk around the ship. When we were underway, I would walk around the ship. I'd be gone in my office. If you wanted to catch me, you better walk.
Yeah.
And people don't understand too. It's like my nines,
Hey, walk with
like,
me.
damn, yeah, you walk too fast. Slow down, slow down. It's like, look, man, let's go. I'm walking because I'm on to my next meeting, or we're walking. They're like, man, how do you walk? I'm ducking around, moving, and me and the XO know the ship from front to end, top to bottom, because we're walking clean stations, everything every day. So I know exactly. You tell me how to get there, and or whatever space it is, tech number, and I'm getting there. Like, damn,
You know
Rod,
your ship,
how do
yeah.
I know? Yeah, and I was like, come on, let's go. We're walking. And I slow down, I'm out of breath, blah, blah, blah. Or they stop, like, go ahead, I'll catch you later. Moving through. And the culmination was these things like that when people recognized, sad to see you leave or whatever, shake your hand, see you off. And that was a big thing for me at the end, closing that
Yeah.
chapter and moving on, man. It was so, gratitude was huge. My mess and everybody in the captain, and just very, very thankful to be able to do it.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. So so you, after 31 years, you just how did it work? After 31 years, you just decided that I'm just going to retire. How did you know that it was the right time for you?
Yeah, my wife and I have this. I probably could have stuck around if, I won't get too far into what I thought. I'll tell you, ego is one thing that
Hmm?
got in my way. Timing was another thing that I did wrong. It started becoming. I'll take a word from one of my friends, but
Hmm.
it became a contest I didn't want to be in, and I was being offered jobs that I didn't want to do. That's on
Okay.
me. I,
Yeah.
I, I definitely could have stayed in. But the pool was, I did have this house already. We had this stuff in Georgia. Again, I know we talked beforehand, but so I was in Pax River
Yeah.
at the flag job, 1-star flag job. I took this job as an '06 job, but all of our stuff stayed in Georgia. We had already purchased a house, and so we lived in a less than 600 square foot apartment in Coronado, and I was basically living out of
Those places are tiny,
suitcases.
man.
Yeah, it's a shoebox with neighbors above it. And my wife and I hadn't lived in an apartment in years. Right? So you have people to your left and right, and people above you, and of course it's the beauty of Coronado, but and you can stand
Yeah.
outside. But it is this very small apartment, and the draw of saying, well, I could. This is already kind of there, and my exit strategy is
Mm,
there. And getting up in age, it's like, hey, do I really want to
okay.
do this, what they were offering me? Do I want to do that for 3 more years to get to a job that I want to do? So now I'm calculating that's 36 years,
Yeah.
37 years deep
That's another
by the
five,
time I
six
would
years.
finish that job, right? So I'm going to do this job to get this job, and people tell you that, and I know I'm getting into it now. I said I wouldn't, but anyway, you don't know. They're not going to be in that position when it's time after your next tour. So you can't say that
Yeah.
this is going to help you to get that, because different people are in there, and they're like, I don't care
Hmm.
what they said, you're done. So you went and
Yeah.
did this other thing and drove your family again in the mud or away from home to hope and dream on something that might not ever come. And the
That
people that
makes
are
sense.
saying this and that might not ever be there, or they retire themselves. And so are they going to reach back to them and say, well, I thought you told him he could do that? So it's not fair. It was time to go. The blessing that happened was our oldest daughter, our two grandkids, she went on deployment. And so here I was transitioning out of the Navy, and I get this phone call from our daughter and saying, "Hey, Dad, I want to go on deployment to Djibouti."
Mm-hmm.
And our two grandkids, 2 and 6 at the time, need a place to go. So my son-in-law, soon to be son-in-law, baby's dad, whatever, our daughter, we call him family. Anyway, he is a welder and works in the shipyard, and he couldn't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily move to days or take the time to watch after two kids. So my wife says
Mm.
yes to taking the two grandkids into our home. And this is like, so I retired in November. I was on terminal leave. February was my last day, and this was all happening like January.
Oh wow.
We were going to receive the kids, and so I was grandpa full time for the first year, which kind
Wow.
of wasn't what I envisioned at all of my transition. Especially our kids are long gone, grown. I hadn't wiped diapers in it. Whether I even did that, my wife, bless her heart, with our kids, I was gone a lot in the rearing ages of our children,
Yeah.
and now this was on me to bus drop off, bus pick up, changing diapers,
What a change
pickups,
in pace, man.
all that stuff. But if I wasn't retired, what would have that looked like? And what would that have looked like for my daughter to be able to go on deployment? She's in the Air Force,
Yeah.
and being able to do that successfully, being able to know that the grandkids are taken care of and I love them,
Mm-hmm.
and give them some stick and rudder, some rearing from Grandpa Don't Play. We're not doing that in this house. And giving them some of that, and then to see them every day. So she did almost a year over there, and we got to take them to their dad and everything for the holidays and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
that's what I did right away. And I was planning on job selection and all this stuff. So transition was different. Getting out was different after 31 years. And was it the right timing? Maybe it was. It was meant to be, and that's where it fit. And so I did
Mm.
that for a year, but it kind of stumped my ability to network and everything that I was going to
Yeah.
try to do right away, getting footprinted in Atlanta. So here's another tidbit. Know what you're retiring to, not retiring from.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So, if you know what you're retiring to, whether that's a job, whether that's nothing, whether it's entrepreneurship, you know, videos, whatever you're doing, then retiring from. We retired from the Navy. Obviously, some people go into industry, the Navy industry, whatever they want to do. Maybe that's an easy transition, but that's not going to
Yeah.
work in Atlanta, Georgia, which is not a
There's no Navy.
hotbed of Navy, and all your connections are in Norfolk. Jacksonville's the
San
closest, or
Diego. Yeah.
San Diego, right? Pac Northwest. And so all that goes away. So in people's planning, know what you're retiring to, not retiring from, is a lesson I wish I would have, maybe thought about it a little bit more. We all have plans. I just want to do nothing. I want to do nothing.
Mm.
That wears off real quick. And I
You
and
got to
I got
find something to do.
you do. But we all want to. It felt like, if I can, it felt like terminal leave. So I did take terminal leave. It took months of terminal leave,
Okay.
but it was during the holidays, and that really helped me too. So it was like, okay,
That's good. Yeah.
we're seeing family's coming in, and it's Christmas, and it's Thanksgiving, it's Christmas, it's New Year's, and we're kind of moving through these things, right, where you're seeing a lot of family, and you're moving. And
Yeah.
then that goes away, and the phone calls stop, and you're not an important person no more. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't have headline privilege, and nobody's calling me and asking me. And my phone was always on. I always kept my phone on as a
Mm-hmm.
CMC, and even as a chief, round the clock. But the phone's not ringing. Nobody's calling me, and it's the silence that gets to you.
Mm.
And I took a phone call. My good friend Ray Kemp, Fleet Master Chief, told me, get back into your routine, Rod. Whatever you were doing before, like, we all PT, like, maybe, it was part of my
Yeah.
routine. You go into work and you're PTing from 5 to 6, and then you're on the
Mm-hmm.
clock, and you just kind of go through your day, and you get home and you eat dinner or whatever. Well, I'm in the Navy. I'm gonna not shave or whatever. I'm gonna take this break, and I'm gonna get fat, and then after a month, you're like, now what? Okay, that was cool. What do I do now? And you start sleeping in, okay, this is kind of good. It's like I'm on leave, but I got to go back to work right on in January. No, there's no going back to work. You're out. Now
You're
what?
done.
Yeah. So it was like, I need to wake up with a
For people like
purpose.
you and me that came in when we were 17, 18, 19, that's all we know. That's all we've been doing all our life. Like we don't know
That's right.
anything else.
Yeah. So I got back into the routine. It was wake up with a purpose and,
Mm,
do your workout in the morning. So every day you'll see it. I know you see my posts, but
yeah.
I try to go walking. I used to run a lot. I'm an old man.
Hmm.
I'm dealing with injuries. I'll get back onto the running, but I get out there and you breathe that fresh, that cold air, and it just livens you up. I do my workout. I make my wife lunch, and she goes on to work, and she's at work, and I say goodbye, and then you get into, like I'm going to clean today, or I'm going to do the yard, or whatever, and you just got to wake up with a purpose. So every
Yeah.
morning, if that's reading, if that's walking the dog, you're into this purpose. And it's kind of funny because I used to tell at Indoc, I used to talk, and at a carrier Indoc, you got 50, 100 people in there. It's always this thing going around. But I used to say you have to have a release for your stress, your energy. You have to find
Hmm.
it. Don't just stay put on this damn ship. It's going to eat you up. So go run, go walk, and go talk and do something that's for you. And I needed that
Yeah.
advice back to myself, and it took somebody to say, "Hey, get back into that routine." And so I started calling my friends, again, saying, just talking to them and part of my routine. And then I started getting into volunteering and a lot of things that I'm doing now because you have to stay busy somehow. So I thought jobs were going to come, and they didn't, And I had another good friend that said, Rod, you're going to get these phone calls for jobs on the worst time to take a job, and you're going to have to decide what you want to do. And again, going back to the point of the Navy has set me up to not have to be able to say no, or if that's not what you want to do. But it's
Yeah.
very true. At the weirdest time when you think you're not getting any phone calls, there's the phone ringing, and I got, hey, you still want a job, Rod? Yeah. What do you got? Well, here's a job for you. Uh, but you're going to have to move to do it, right? It's not
Mm.
here in Georgia, and it's not from home. It's not remote. You have the skill set we're looking for, and I'll hire you today based on who you are, right?
Yeah.
An association, and that happened, and it's like, oh God, now there's decisions to make. What kind of money are you talking about? It was like, my wife's going to
Is
quit
it
her
worth it?
job.
Right.
Is it worth it? Yeah, to call it, and we're not talking chump change here,
Mm, yeah. Yeah.
throwing some bucks at you. So all these things in retirement, was it time? And again, I go back to my point of what you're retiring to. If that's what you want to do, I would say work towards that. Curveball was being grandpa for a year and kind of threw me off track of what I wanted to establish and what I would
No.
have thought I was going to do my first year in retirement of making ways to get back into the working field. And as time goes on, another thing that you'll learn, and you too, Juan, is as you wait, as you try something and you want to
Hmm.
get back to industry, you're not the new hottest thing no more. There's
Right.
somebody else getting out next year that they're eyeballing that has the
Yeah.
skill set. And now you're too far, too long in the tooth, and maybe you've lost your edge of what you
Hmm.
had. So
Yeah.
you're going to have to circle back around to that or take a lesser maybe to build your way back up. So
Yeah.
those are all things that I talk to people in retirement, that if you want to be in the industry, well, you should probably stay in San Diego or move to Norfolk and continue those relationships,
Yeah.
because you're going to get those phone calls and maybe they'll come early, and maybe you want to jump on that and say that's what I want to do. I need another job. And
Yeah.
everybody's
Yeah.
situation is different. My kids are grown, made some right decisions early in life, financially, to be able to not have to do that. But some
Yeah.
people, hey, I would, they weren't prepared to retire, and I, don't own my house or whatever,
They got
I
payments to make, and
they got payments. I got young kids, I got two kids that are, you still got 12 years left in the house, and I need to work right away, or they weren't at the same year. That's another point I would say is reach out to somebody that's your pay grade and your time in service and ask them what your pay is going to be in retirement, so that you can
mm,
kind of know what that is going to look like, because
yeah.
that will help your decision. Not It's different. 20-year chief is different from a 31-year master chief in
Oh yeah.
retirement pay. A person that just gets out at 10 years is way different than somebody that retired. An '04 is different than an '03E, or
Yeah.
an '06 is different. with an '06 at 40 years is different than maybe an '06 at 20.
Mm.
Way different pays. Hopefully they would be honest, with you and those private discussions. That's a key thing. And again, in mentorship of somebody that's right ahead of you and being able to discuss to them, this is what I'm making. Here's what you can, and your wife or your significant other can make these decisions to where you want to be in retirement and what's it going to take for you to live the lifestyle that you want to as you
Yeah.
transition over. So it's not big stress
Yeah.
in getting out.
Yeah.
So
I think
those are
people like you and me are pretty lucky, right? Like you said, our kids are grown, and we made some good decisions financially, and we had the option to say no whenever we want. But
yeah.
what does Rod do now? Do you get a job, or what are you? Because I see pictures on Facebook with you in a distillery.
Yeah.
Do you
I
own
got
it, or do you work there?
no. So a couple things. So while I was doing the grandpa thing, I was interested in volunteering. And you think that that is an easy thing. It's not true. I wanted to volunteer at the USO. Well, the USO is in the airport, which is about an hour away from us where I live.
Mm,
And you would think that you could just walk in there and say I want to volunteer, like I would if I was
sure.
active duty. I could just call and say, hey, I want my command XYZ to volunteer, and they'd be
Yeah.
like, yeah, come this weekend, come on.
Yeah.
As a civilian, you got to have a background check. You got to have an interview and
What?
all these things.
To
Yeah,
volunteer at the
yeah. So
USO?
to volunteer, yeah. So it's
Wow.
not this. We're not just taking Joe Blow. You got to get on the schedule, and you got to go down there and basically do a background check. And so I was like, man, this thing forever. So I had to make this connection, right, to do this volunteer thing. In the meanwhile, I say, okay, well, let me try Habitat for
Mm,
Humanity.
yeah.
It's just another thing. I just said, man, maybe it's something I could just walk on and do. I see all these pictures and I looked them up, and same thing. It's like they're not just taking Joe Blow. They do when they take it from industry. So you might have Delta, Home Depot, all these companies that
Okay.
come,
Okay.
and they come for a Saturday. And if you work for that company, you could just show up onto the site and say, hey, I'm a volunteer for Home Depot, and
Yeah.
we're here to volunteer and build this house. But if you're just a civilian person, you can't just walk on the site and say, hey, I'd like to help out.
Wow. I had
Not
no
how it
idea.
works. Yeah, so yeah, neither did I, right? So then I was like, oh man, so how does this process work? You gotta do some paperwork and all this stuff. I was like, man, to volunteer. And so I started with those two entities. They started calling me, I started doing some things, and both are very giving in those
Mm,
organizations. And I was very happy to do it. I now became an ambassador. You might see my pictures out there for USO.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I see. Like I'm on billboards, and I got
Yeah.
people texting me and
Hey, after
different.
going through this background check and everything, I might as well take some pictures, man.
Yeah, so they sent me. It was kind of crazy for USO. It was like, hey, you want to be a USO ambassador? We're having a photo shoot, and I
Oh,
was like, oh, okay, cool.
yeah.
And they sent me down to the studio, and these were all like paid actors,
Huh?
like not military people. Yeah, yeah.
Really?
They come in, yeah, and they were doing makeup, and there's like this wardrobe of uniforms, like, hey, try on a
Wow.
uniform, whatever. And so I got, I have my USO shirt on and a hat, and I'm retired military. We're gonna take some photos, and we're gonna take some for Super Bowl, and different. They were
Nice.
planning way out. And then I started, so then I didn't know anything. It was like they took some photos, and I was just like, the USO actor, and these people were in uniform, like, you see them, like they have these makeshift camps of things. And then later, like a couple months came out, and then people they start posting all over, it was LinkedIn and all kinds of stuff, like, hey, Rod, that's you, blah, blah, blah. And it was like on billboards and things, and
Wow.
across the country.
You're famous,
Just
man.
it was crazy. It was like, oh man, and but anyway, so I started doing that, and I did that, and I've been doing that for like a year, and then I was like, well, let me do something maybe that I like. I like bourbon. I got to sample this local bourbon here, and it was delicious. So I connected with them on Facebook, the company, and then they posted saying, hey, we're looking for a full-time employee. So I was like, let me shoot them an email. I said,
Do
look,
I get free tasting?
Well, I said I'm not looking for a job, but I could give you a day. I volunteer. I said I could shoot you my resume, but I volunteer at these other places. I'm not a, I didn't say serial killer, but I'm a good person. I'm a retired Navy
Yeah.
Master Chief, and I don't know if they know this from Sam. So I just wrote him a note. Said, look, I'm willing to give you a day. I volunteer a day in some of these other organizations. Could have come down. Crickets for about a month or two. And get an email saying, "Hey, Rod, man, miss your email, blah, blah, blah. We could definitely use your help. Why don't you come down here, check out the distillery?"
Nice.
Walked in there and it felt like home, man. It was really weird. It was like these guys, men and women, and they're on a mission, and they had been about in business about 4.5 years. And they
Wow.
said, "Good, I brought my work pants and everything." And they're like, "You go right out to the bottom of the line. We start today." And volunteering. And I just got to the line, and they were showing me how to do it, and full of barrels out there in the warehouse and all this stuff. And
That's cool.
it started a great relationship, and the owners are there, and so it's like literally 10 people and some great bourbon. So I said, I'll give you faithfully, I give you every Wednesday. And we were bottling every Wednesday, and some of the
Mm.
stuff they send to major distributor for bottling, and we do like single barrels. I don't know if you know anything, but anyway. So then I did that since June of last year, every
Oh,
Wednesday, giving up and bottle faithfully, volunteering for them. And it's me and about two other long-term volunteers that they have. And yeah, we get to sample stuff that's not for sale. I tell you what, the first day I don't have I got my bourbon over here, but first day they were pouring like full glasses, like you just take these samples out and
yeah.
uh, you could drink this. I got to drive home. I'm like,
Yeah.
and so I got to slow down. And so, well, you're not supposed to like drink the whole thing, right? You want to smell it, drink it, whatever. And, I'm not a, that big a bourbon enthusiast. I guess I just, love the taste of bourbon. So anyway, I got to taste a lot of stuff. But then from then I know. So then this year, as we go forward, one of the owners, hit me up, said, "Hey, how would you like to come work for us part time?" And, I was like, man, immediately I was like, I'm in, right? I'm volunteering anyway. But I said, let me run it by my wife. And so the last couple of weeks, I've been back to part time, getting paid for the same thing I was going to do, volunteering. And again,
Nice.
I'm just there to support. It's like indirect leading. I don't know if they're all aware of what I did, and I don't really care. I'm not a master chief there.
Yeah.
I'm just a guy, um, this old man. These guys are,
Who likes bourbon?
yeah, who likes bourbon, and for the love of bourbon, I want to see them successful. I want to see their company
Yeah.
grow,
Yeah.
and being so close to their leadership and seeing their passion. It's just really awe-inspiring to see a small company, something I would have never thought of,
That's
but
awesome,
how
man.
can I contribute to their win, and how can I see them grow? And so they crossed over the 5-year mark, and they're being successful, and it's just a cool feeling when this is what we want. One when
Mhm.
we want in our command, you just want to be part of something that's bigger than you, and you
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
we talk a lot about climate
Exactly.
and culture, and so as you walk into a command, you could tell climate, immediately, right? Climate
Yeah.
is what you see at the young man's perspective. Why do I come to this every day, this ship, this command, this business, in the
Yeah.
parking lot? And why would I do this again tomorrow? As they're driving home, are they excited to drive home, or are they, like, man, I want to quit, right? Or I don't want to be
hmm
there tomorrow. That
Yeah.
is climate. A culture is the uh, honor, courage, commitment, and the moniker that whatever the thing is, leadership first, or whatever that thing is on your your command motto. But climate, so I walk in there, and it's a good climate, it's a good vibe, and hey, Rod, it's like
Nice.
Norm, walks through on Cheers, and it's a lot of young guys that are getting after it, and I want to just see them successful. Who knows where that will go to? We're doing some stuff with, it's only for me. It's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and it's 9:30 to 4 p.m. I don't have to,
Yeah.
I'll
It's nice
do
to
it.
have an option.
That's right. And
Yeah.
if it goes away tomorrow, it
It's all
goes away
good.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they tell me to pack sand and you're the old guy, we don't want you no more.
No problem.
Hey, cool. Thank you. And you're gone. If they put me in charge of something, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. If they say, hey, we want you in a different position. I just want to see them successful, and how
Yeah.
can I be part of their team now? And like I said, who knows where it goes? And we could literally do that in any
Yeah.
command or any position. These are the positions that you get the call for. But unfortunately, again, I'm in a place where it's not a. I have to move to take some of these jobs, and those are bigger decisions. This one came along at the
Yeah.
right time. Who knows? People could be happy at Walmart greeter. You hear this in our command.
Yeah.
I'd rather be a
Yeah. Yeah.
Walmart greeter. I want to do that. Yeah, I want to be at Home Depot, and I want to wear my vest and be the paint guy or whatever.
Yeah.
The Navy afforded me that ability to do those things, and that's what retirement's about. Stay busy, meet new people. I talk to people all kinds through this job and through USO and Habitat, and I'm trying to thrive here. And be the best, and a lot of people reach back to me still. What would Rod do? It's always funny. That's when you've done something right. When
Yeah.
people reach back to you is, I got a problem, I got an issue. What would you do? I really looked up to you, and I would like your opinion on it. And I get a lot of that stuff of people that I was grooming behind me.
That's awesome, man. That's great.
And now, yeah, I can give some of that to this company that they're starting, and who knows, like I said, it's just I'm not the CEO. I was just a volunteer, and I'm just
Yeah.
the low man on the totem pole. Could I be something? Maybe they watch this and they'll see. But I don't know. They don't know what we could add, right? They don't know, and that's like any
Yeah.
company. You don't know, but I can I could do it. I could.
Yeah.
I've been at the
If you
top,
can be a
but I'm okay
CMC
being.
of
Yeah,
300 plus sailors on an aircraft carrier,
yeah.
yeah, you can
It's
lead anything.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
you could do, yeah. So it's like, how can I add? So that's kind of what I've been doing the last 2 years, staying busy, like you said. You can't just mull around and watch TV. I mean, you could, I guess, and stay fat. You have to watch out for your health too.
Yeah.
Stuff that our age. So I'm 51, about to be 52 this year. What you thought was not going to hurt you creeps up, right? So those when you're not running
Yeah.
around the ship, I'm not going up and down ladders on the ship. I'm not, like, I said, walking so fast that these guys can't keep up with me. Well, all that stops in retirement, and those
Yeah.
joints aren't moving. The oiled machine is not moving as fast,
Carrying
and
aircraft chains around your neck on the flight.
you're gonna be like waking up like you were hit by a truck every night in the bed, and you're like, man, what? It was called old age, young
Yeah.
man.
Everything hurts.
Uh, yeah, and so you need to kind of watch out and stay back into that
Yeah.
routine of working out, and I love it. I was a runner for years, and now I'm lifting weights. I'm doing pull-ups. I'm still walking. I'm doing a lot of things, but it's more for my health. I can clear my mind and stay healthy instead of vegetating, and I still have time. And I'm learning how to play golf. Something I never took up while I was in
Neither did I. I
free.
never picked it up.
So I'll tell you this: the PGA has a program, PGA Hope, and any veteran can go to there. There's some criteria out there that you'll have to read. In each state is different, but it is a free golf program for us. And they taught me how to play golf. Got free lessons from a certified PGA player,
Oh, very
and
cool.
it's free, and hopefully it's in your state and town. Anybody that's listening, but seek that out if you want to learn how to play golf. If you're just a novice guy, want to learn better skills, they'll accept you
Yeah.
too. But it was a group of guys that were veterans, and some guys with disabilities and some not. And we were able to take me out there and give me 4 free lessons and some free stuff to start my golf journey.
That's
And
awesome.
that, yeah, gave me some different avenues again. So I'm just some, what can I do now, right? What do you want to do? It's like, hey, I want to try this, and maybe I'll try it, and it works. And those are just things, again, that fortunate. If you could go back and again, let's talk about finances real quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
If if I was given a lot of advice that I did not take from my senior chief when I was a young airman, and said, save gold, Rod. You need gold. We used to have the or those little certificates you could buy, savings bonds,
Oh, so yeah. Savings bonds. Yeah.
in the Navy, right? And they
Yeah.
were like, get the savings bonds. Well, then that went away. I think I was like second class or whatever. And then I remember my senior chief saying, you need to buy gold. He's like, he brought in this like a lockbox of like gold bars and stuff. And I was
Wow.
like, holy crap. Yeah. Imagine what that's worth today. I don't know if he
Now,
sold it
shoot,
up. Yeah.
it's
Crazy,
like
right? But he's like,
$5,000 for an ounce of gold
you need to
now.
save. And TSP didn't come along later in our career. But
Yeah.
when that started, I was hesitant about doing TSP and like how much percent should I put in, blah, blah, blah. I wish I would have listened to some better advice financially. And any young person out there on your views this, man, save compound interest is a real thing. And
Mm-hmm.
if you could do it younger, man, do it. If you
Yeah.
can have equity in home younger, man, do it because that will set you up so much for success later
Yeah.
in your life. And if you are one not to save and not to do it, learn. It's just another thing, right? I can tell you about leadership, and I can tell you I'm not a financial advisor, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe you should go listen to one. Maybe you should seek out that information too, especially if
Absolutely.
this is your career. If the Navy's
Yeah.
your career, what do I do with this money? Could you, pinch here? Could you put this away? Could
Mm-hmm.
you, the 2% that you get every year, maybe you just put that 2% instead of in your pocket, put it in a TSP, right?
And
Your
if you put it
paycheck
on an
never didn't
allotment, you
change.
don't even miss it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So people just don't talk enough about that. I think it's very key for a younger person. Of course, we can't go back and do that, but those are
Mm-hmm.
little things that I wish people would set up about how to pay bills and do. We lost a lot of that along the way. The chief was the all-knowing thing about finance. Who do you talk to about finances? You talk to the chief. Oh, I want to get married. Who do you talk to? You talk to the chief.
The chief. Yeah.
I got relationship problems. Who do you talk to? You go talk to the chief. Now a lot of we just don't teach those things, basic skill sets.
Yeah,
What
you're
to
right.
do. And I wish um, people would talk more about finances to young sailors and what to do. And I know TSP and our retirement system has changed a
Yeah.
little bit, but I think there's a still an avenue there to learn to better yourself in this position in retirement now.
It's still, yeah.
Saying, man, I could have had double maybe of what I would have had if I would have started earlier because of
Oh, yeah.
compound interest and something that I wasn't aware of, as a younger guy, but just squandering away when I could have. And people were telling me, I just wasn't listening. And just
Yeah.
like people are going to tell you about how to advance in your career, and you're not listening
You're
because
not going to
you're
listen. Yeah.
hard headed.
I'm going to
Yeah.
do it my
And so
way.
that's right. And then years go by, and you're like, damn,
Man,
man,
I
I
wish I
messed
would have
up.
listened.
Yep.
Yeah.
I wish I would have listened. That guy holding up gold bricks, if
Yeah.
I would have been sitting on, a box full of those right now, um, I'd be rich. So just those little things. But finances is huge.
How about
Again, going back.
How about the VA? When you were transitioning, was there you mentioned that your VSO was great and you had a really good experience with your VSO and it went
Mhm.
smoothly. I'm assuming you did the BDD claim, but was there anything in which the VA might have fell short during your transition, or not, or maybe it was smooth all the way? Were there any delays on a decision based on a claim or?
Yeah, so it was kind of funny. So I didn't know much about the VSO, and we were at a street fair in Coronado, and actually Tony Jaramillo, he was looking into it, and he's like, "Hey, Rod, about called the VSO up in Miramar. I got been talking to them, but he was retiring after me, so he was really ahead of the game.
Yeah, yeah,
Gave me the number, and I had gone. I think I had gone to tap class already. Again, it's just kind of I was just trying to go through the motions of that, right? Like get through it. I got to do it. Blah blah blah. And I think I was thinking more about work
mm,
in those classes than what it was doing for me.
mm-hmm.
So he gave me the number. I remember shooting the email and and they came back and said, "Hey, you can't make this appointment till." Uh, he's like, "No." He responded and said, "When is your out date?" And I said, "Okay, it's February 1st." And then he shot me and said, "Okay, well, August is your time we can talk to you. We only do 30 days out of appointments. Hit me up in July or late June for an
Okay.
appointment." And if it wouldn't been for Tony giving me that number, I probably might have thought I had closer to the date than needed to set up an appointment, right? I would have
Mm,
waited in the window, which would have squashed the time
yeah,
frame.
yeah.
So know your time frames out there as you're retiring to speak to the VSO. And then know, so then Tony had this list of like stuff that you had to get, right? So you have to get your record,
Yes.
and I had to go to Balboa to get my, which is the hospital, if people don't know, but physically get my digital record. But I had to physically go in there and sign a paper to
For
do it,
your
to get
digital
it.
record? Wow.
Yeah, my digital
Oh, that's
record.
right. At the time, you couldn't download it. We didn't have Genesis.
Yeah,
Now we do. Yeah, but back then,
yeah.
a
So
couple of years
it,
ago,
it
we
could have
didn't.
changed. Yeah, so I had to physically go there, and I'm in the backside of Balboa, and I didn't even know
Yeah.
this place existed. And I had to sign a form and get these two different copies because it's under one was Genesis and one was this other thing to get my digital record sent to me, which took about 30 days that I had to
Wow.
have to the VSO. So,
Mm.
if you just walk in the VSO and you don't have these things, you don't gonna know. You're like, wait, go back and get them. Well, that takes time. You're not just gonna walk up and get this stuff sent to you. So again, all these learning things, right? And
Yeah.
so I had my copy, I had this, and I go to the VSO, and
And also the copies if you ever got referred to a hospital out in town, because that's not going to
yeah,
be in your medical record, military medical record.
right.
You're going to have to bring it in.
So then, yeah, so then I get my appointment with the VSO at Miramar, and there's many other avenues you could do, but I went there and they said, yeah, you have to have this, this, and this. So I had some of it, and they said, well, you have to go get this. We'll come back on this day. Bring your wife
Hmm.
if she can come, and we'll discuss about your things wrong with you.
Okay.
And so, they started going down this. And so I brought it back. We had the time. I remember I had to take time off. And again, thankful for the captain for letting me go. And my wife was there. And we started saying, well, here's the issues or what you think is wrong. Here's what I found in your record, blah, blah, blah. And
Hmm.
from there, they're typing it up. And then you go and verify that stuff at the VA starts talking to you. Here's these appointments start coming in, right? And saying, well, now we need to verify what you said is wrong.
Your CMP
Well,
appointments.
yeah, you're gonna have to go
Yeah.
to these appointments, right, to make sure. And so it's another process in this window that you're trying to get to BDD, the 0 to 90 days or whatever.
Yeah.
And so these are all unknowns. Like, man, this is foreign to me. All I knew was I had BDD, and you want to submit to this time frame so that you get your VA on time. And if it wasn't for again, mentorship telling me people that were saying, and I had
Yeah.
Russ Smith, Mick Pond, and other people that were right in front of me, like saying, "Hey, make sure you meet this time frame because you're gonna thank me for it later."
Yeah.
And I guess before that, my record was about this big. My career, we're all these
That's it.
guys that say that was it before
Wow.
I got to the ship. And we're all guys that say I don't want to express an ailment because I don't want to pass on jobs. Especially in my position, it was a theory of thinking. I don't want to be hurt because you're not going to be able to get jobs.
Yeah. So we
And
kind
so
of
we
put
don't. We
off.
don't
We put up with
yeah,
pain. We put up with issues
that's right.
just
You
because.
don't go to medical. You don't get a document or whatever. So I got to the ship, and again, I know I'm different than other people, just privileged because I was in the triad, but I had a great ship stock.
Mhm.
And they said, CMC, you're going to retire. Once I sent the signal, I was retiring. He said, we're going to do a head to toe. We're just start getting you x-rays and MRIs and go get you seen for anything that you feel is wrong.
Yeah.
And we'll have this discussion. And if it wasn't for that conversation and his willingness, I don't think it would have got documented
Mm.
into my record as a problem while I was active duty.
Wow.
So I say that, but you don't have to have the shift stock. You can do that on your own and go through medical any problem. Just go
If you
get it
do it early
documented.
enough. Yeah.
Yeah, even if you passed years, it's never too late if you're still active duty to go
Yeah.
get that stuff at least looked at and documented that you think you have a problem and maybe it's more than an issue. So anyway, fast forward to the VSO, and I didn't have any problems. When I got to the VA, they did this stuff, and again, this is San Diego. This is a hotbed. There's many
They're used to it.
offices,
Yeah.
things that happen, and everything I went to Balboa for, I got my MRIs and everything. Understand, I got privileged um, because of the CMC, right? See, come on in. See, we'll put you in front of this guy. It might be in front of you, Juan. I was like, oh yeah, CMC, come
Hey,
on
what's
over
going
here.
on?
Yeah, yeah. We'll take this guy first. You take a minute, and it's just kind of weird. So, uh, but I went through that process, and then it's a waiting game. So people don't understand it's a waiting game.
Yeah.
And another thing so I got out and went on terminal leave, and you're waiting for this notification from the VA. Well, I'll tell you, I was on sea duty on a ship, so your pays start to change as you go on terminal leave and you start processing out, which is another thing you have to be aware of in
It
retirement.
does?
Well, so my sea pay stopped, and there was a lot of things that were stopping
Okay.
because I wasn't
That makes
going
sense.
back. So now hey, my CPA is $750. I got a lot of seat time,
Yeah.
which is, yeah. So now your pays start coming down. And then we moved to Georgia and all this stuff, that you
Hmm.
don't get you don't get a lot of things that were in your, like you would get for PCS
Okay.
if you're transferring. So you got to be mindful of all the money that you would normally get for normal PCS is different for your transition
I didn't know
if
that
you're
either.
moving. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you really have to know. I'm not too keen on it. It's been a while, but it is different. You don't get all the money, advance pays and all that stuff. It's different
Okay.
if you plan on moving. So now I'm here in Georgia. I'm still on active duty. I'm on terminal leave and my pays, and then you will get your notification from the VA whenever. And for me,
Hmm.
I got mine I got out February 1st. I think February 7th, I got my notification from the VA.
Okay. That's pretty
So
good.
I was like, man, no problem. And I started making my appointments. So we have VA clinics here. And so the horror stories that I heard from VA, I I didn't have any.
Nice.
Mind you, I did all of it in San Diego, which might help, and all the
Sure.
stuff that I got from the ship on my transition and everything. And then I'll say that after all that, so we can, I didn't have any, to answer your question, I didn't have any problems with the VA. I didn't have any issues in my transition. Um, to the local VA and how that process went when I established here. And we do have TRICARE, and
Yeah.
you can use either or, but the VA has been more than willing to get you back up to speed on medications and all the stuff that you might need. At
I've
least
been getting
here.
the same feedback from other people I talked to
Yeah,
that
it's been pretty smooth.
yeah, the VA they didn't have any issues. Everything pretty much happened on time as uh,
Yeah,
as expected, and yeah, so that's a relief for me. I'm getting ready to go.
yeah,
I'm already talking to my VSO. Actually, I already
good.
got my medical records well ahead of time
Yeah,
because I talked to a lot of
and
people. But
and just
it's good to know.
and expect your pays to change. So then you get your audit. So DFAS will do an audit. I got a
That's
letter
right.
in the mail.
Yeah.
I got a letter in the mail saying where we've opened an audit. Okay.
Okay.
And my personnel master chief had told me this is going to happen.
Hmm.
And, your pay skip. So you got to know that you're probably going to do like 2 months with no pay because you get
Hmm.
paid only once a month. So you're going to like work and then get pay.
Right.
And so as you're transitioning, you might do 2, maybe 3 months so you have to be prepared for that in retirement, that there might not be the same pace of pay in those months after your terminal leave. So you're going to get paid on terminal leave like it's normal. And then when that stops, then now that's this gray area that you
Yeah.
need to be, any person, officer enlisted, needs to be prepared for.
Yeah. But
Uh,
the back pay you if there was a lapse there,
that's
right?
that's correct. Yes, it's just the pace that it's normally first and 15th is now stopped, and wherever you're at in that month time frame, it's just going to not come. And if you're not financially prepared for that, just be ready. And
Yeah.
then I got the notification from the audit, and I owed money, and they list.
How much do you owe?
It was like $1,600. It was a pretty good chunk. There
Wow.
was a audit done that I was overpaid for leave in my last year,
Okay.
and something in there, but it tells you exactly what they're doing. And they
Okay.
give you options to pay over the course of a year. And
Hmm.
then it says, and it'll say at the bottom, this is it. This is your final, no more. You're not going to hear no more from DFAS. This is it.
Hmm.
And you have to pay DFAS directly, and that's it. And I was like, oh man, but that's the finito.
Yeah.
So it's a good feeling just to be done. And here's what you're getting in your retirement. And now you don't owe, nobody's going to come to this bill
Knocking on your
later.
door.
Yeah. And then, so the other thing you have to know is that you should do your, being able to log into MyPay. You have to have the login, so your CAT card is not going to work. You
That's
need to
right.
go get a retirement card. You need to know your actual login for
Yeah.
MyPay retirement. And
DS log on.
there's a
Yeah.
drop down that has MyPay for active duty, which we're used to. And then there's under it is retiree, which we get a different, LES, and it's a little bit different, but you have to know your login. And that's where you're going to be able to log into there and change your withholdings. And so people get slammed with taxes right away because no
Yeah.
more, they're not taking out taxes anymore out of your check. So wherever you're at in the state, whatever, California,
Hmm.
Georgia, whatever, you have to kind of know what do you want to claim now, a single zero, married in five, whatever you want to
Hmm.
do, and how
Yeah.
much taxes you want to take out. And people forget to do that as months go by, and you can't play catch up. So you're going to get slammed if you
Yeah.
waited 6 months because those checks came to you and you didn't take out
Wow.
taxes. And so you have to be aware of that, and you can all do that in that drop down in it, and it'll show on your next pay. But you have to kind of play with that a little bit as you go
Mm,
forward. What's right for you to break even, or you want money back, or whatever you want to do. Just be cognizant of that as you go forward in retirement. And not a lot of people get after it right away. They wait and they
yeah.
figure it out, or you lost your my pay account and you're trying to work with them to get that, and that takes a month or two or whatever, and
Yeah.
you've already you start getting pay, and it's non-taxed because they don't care.
That actually, do you remember Chico back at the
Yep,
wing?
Chico Reyes.
So I remember Chico when we were there. He just recently retired, and he filed. That's what happened to him. He's like, I can't believe what happened. I forgot they were never taking out my state taxes, and
Yeah,
I didn't know. I thought they were going to automatically transfer from active duty to retirement, and now I
right.
owe the state I don't know how many thousands of dollars. I remember him
Yeah,
coming in pretty frustrated with that. So yeah, that's
yeah,
real. That's for real.
yeah. So those things are little tweaks that nobody's telling you or talking to you, and if you're not, and my wife is good. I'm sure your wife is up to speed. My wife does the bills, been doing it for many years, but you have to be ready for that. And then if you're making, what tax bracket you sit, especially if you started working again later in life, how does that fit into what you want to take out of your retirement?
Hmm.
All those little things that nobody's really mentioning unless you're listening to videos and people talking to you saying, hey, this is coming.
Quite a lot. But hey, Rod, we're coming to the end of the podcast. But before I let you go, man, there's this thing that we call rapid fire. So I'm gonna ask you some questions, right? And the idea is for that it's rapid fire. So whatever comes to mind first, right? Give me that answer, right?
Okay,
You ready?
let's go.
All right. First morning retired. Alarm clock or you sleeping?
Sleep in.
Sleeping. All right. The hardest thing to let go after retirement.
Hardest thing to let go after retirement. What comes in my mind right away is that you're not a somebody no more. Your title is gone.
Okay.
It's the hardest thing because that's who I was, right? I mean, if people say, "Oh, I am personable," and it didn't mean I'm walking like this. I hate my collar device, but you're just Rod, and
Yeah.
people just see you as Rod. But the hardest thing is the noise stops. I'm no
Yeah.
longer every moment people text me, I'm doing this, duty section or whatever.
Yeah.
That is now gone.
Yeah.
That's the hardest
That's a
thing
good point.
to let go.
Okay, track your transition. Was smooth or rough? How was it?
Smooth, very
Smooth,
smooth.
nice. All right. One thing you wish you started earlier before retirement.
I would just say a planning if you wanted to work or not.
Okay.
Those things, a relationship with an employer or maybe a not employer but an avenue. You want to be HR. Like I would have fit in HR, maybe establishing that notion of
Okay.
what does it take to be an HR person in the afterlife before.
Makes sense. Okay. Cheese mess. What do you miss the most out of it?
Now camaraderie, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the beauty of Chiefs Mess, I could walk in there and have a seat at any table and talk about whatever people's families,
Anything.
love. Where I would love to walk into Chiefs Mess, somewhere close to here, and these commands on it's shore duty, but Chiefs Mess on a big ship is huge, and camaraderie and listening to just a thriving mess
Yeah.
is I miss the chatter. I miss the congregation. I miss the talking, the brotherhood and sisterhood.
Yeah. Makes total sense, man. How about one Navy habit that you just can't shake?
PT.
PT. I knew you were going to say that. PT,
Yeah.
man.
I mean, I was a CFL. I was a lot of things, but it
Yeah.
was driven into me, and it just became part of my life. And even though I hit the pause button, like we were on terminal leave or whatever, but once you start back up, it's just like it's built into us. And you see a lot of
Yeah.
old cats. You wonder how these guys are like in their 80s and 90s, and they're standing out of their wheelchair for the flag, or they're saluting because
Yeah.
they probably were PTing deep into their 70s, 80s. It's just
That's
built
true.
into us.
Yeah.
It's
Another
culture.
good point. All right. So if you could only give one advice, just one, to a sailor that's in their first enlistment, what would it be?
If I could give one piece of advice to a sailor, I would say just listen more than being angry. And then if that makes sense. But then
Yeah,
deciding if this is for you. The earlier you can decide this is your career, the faster you'll say, this is what I got to do to move up.
I
If
see.
you stay on the fence and say, well, I'm just going to get out, I was here for college in 4 years, there's
Hmm.
somebody that has made their career decision earlier and is in a fast track to say, I'm here for 20 years or
I
30
see.
years, and this is my career. I want to be, an LDO. I want to be an MMCO or whatever. When I'm done, I want to be the captain of this ship.
Hmm.
But I would be set on that path faster than saying I'm on my fence and then you reenlist at the end, right? And then you go another 4 years and I'm on the fence. I'm going to get out. I'm going to out, and then they're
Yeah,
reenlisting again. And now you're behind the power curve because somebody that says this is my career and can decide that in their first tour or early in life is as a focus that is malleable and help being able to be open for help to get
yeah,
to their end state because I got you on this path and saying I'm just here for because my mom sent me or whatever, and they're so wishy-washy and they spin their wheels and they're not on track till late and they're wondering what happened and people are moving around them so fast because they're
yeah,
in a lane because they already know that I'm in for 20. And so
yeah.
if you could,
I always tell people, don't act like you're getting out until you get out.
yeah,
Because you want to leave. You know, you're going to leave all your options open, as many as you can, right?
yeah,
And if you are set in your mind that you're going to get out and you haven't made a decision, you're just closing a lot of doors, a lot of opportunities out there. Yeah, I agree, man.
yeah, I think, and you get fed more. I just think
Yeah.
a career person gets fed and like it or not, it's just the way it works. If I know you're getting out, I might not, give you something, a tidbit that I would give a person that says, "Hey, I want to be like you, Master Chief.
Hmm.
I'm in for 30. I want to be a CMC one day. How do I get there?" Well, you're second class. Let's get you to first class first. Let's
Yeah.
get you to chief. These are the things that you need to be doing now, to get to this point. And
Yeah.
and the earlier you can have those discussions, I think the more you'll grasp it and work on it and hone it than saying, I don't need that. I don't need that and be friction.
Yeah.
And and then all of a sudden you're at 15 years and you're like, well, maybe I am a career person. Man, I wish you would have made
Kind of
that
late.
decision. Yeah, 10 years ago, I could have helped you out.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Rod, and thank you so much for taking the time, and I really appreciate it. It's I haven't had a CNC here in the podcast. I had a few officers and some chiefs and senior chiefs, but I think what you bring to the table in this podcast is a lot of great advice, man. Not only for people that are retiring, even for junior sailors right here.
Yeah.
But you're a wealth of knowledge. But thank you very much for sharing it with us, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, Juan, again, it's about relationships, that we've
Yeah.
made across. That's what the Navy is huge. But opportunity is there, and anytime I can help somebody out, anytime I can help a bigger crowd, I'm all in, and that's what we do, and that's how we continue to connect with people all throughout. Very much appreciative. I thank you, sir. I tip of my hat to you, and continue much success. Right.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And for the rest of you, this is Liberty Call out.